knew this was going to be one of those really great days to ride. Some days you just know it's going to be a blast to be out there, and this was going to be one of them. It was Mike and Johnny O came down, Mara came down from Newport to ride, and even before we started, we had a few issues because the bikes needed maintenance. Last time we rode, Johnny on the WR, the back brake wasn't working, so we had to get that fixed. And then the starter was broken on the 250F. Not the physical starter, but the button, the push button. We had parts, so we had to fix that. By the time we got those two things done, I looked and my front tire looked flat. And I'm like, oh man, we're never going to get out of here. As it turned out, I forgot I had tennis balls in my front tire, not a tube. So I went to go find a tube to throw in there, and sure, we didn't have any tubes. So I wasn't going to ride, but it was so nice. And, those guys said, listen, it's not going to get any worse. I was worried it might come off the rim. They're like, nah, no way. So with that being said,
Mike,
we decided that I would go as well. And I'm really glad I did. And we're like, hey, listen, let's ride down to Motorsport Nation in Waterford, which is it's probably a 25 mile ride, maybe not that far, but pretty far.
Can we go that way, or do I
and because we said, let's go on a long ride. It's just one of those days.
Do I got to go that way? Go this
so
way? All right.
That to get there is a big part of the 50-mile loop that Mike has done a couple times, and I have never done it. I have never done the whole thing. I've done a bunch of portions of it, but I had never done the whole loop in one trip. So I was like, yeah, cool. And I didn't know we were going to do the whole thing. I thought we were just going to go to Motorsport Nation, grab a tube or whatever. There's a few other. Look at the water, man. This is a gnarly ride this day. It definitely wasn't easy. And so that's where we're heading. We're going that way. And I'm going to cut it up, and it's out of order. And so if you do know this part of the loop, some of you guys, it's out of order because my GoPro records great, but it doesn't timestamp the recordings. It just says what day. So I end up with 11 clips, and I don't know the order of them, so I just get frustrated and just start using them in whatever order I pull them off. So this is actually, we've already crossed the road, and this has the rock garden in the beginning of it that I've never been able to get through without help. And I was like, you know what, I'm bound and determined this time to get through this rock garden. It doesn't look fierce from the video, as always, but you'll see it's got big rocks. There's no line through it. It's hard for me. It definitely, it's not easy. But I was bound and determined to get through it, and I was happy to say I did get through it, although I think I stalled it maybe once or twice. But see, like right here, there's just no line through this, man. It's just rocks on rocks, and then a little opening there, but then it's going to get way worse up here a little bit. And it's steep. It doesn't look steep, but it's steep. Look at these rocks. Watch the front end bouncing all over the place. Going over these things. And so, here we go. Yeah, that was great fun for me to get a chance to ride this with these guys. I truly enjoyed it. You're gonna see there's a lot of really better than usual video because the terrain is definitely gnarly in a lot of spots, so it kind of adds to it. But that being said, look at see how rocky this is. Look at this crap. This is like where I would get hung up, like places like this. There's no line through here. You just kind of got to go over them. There's no way around it. That being said, I had told Mike that I had remembered a crazy story. It was actually the worst 2 nights I've ever had in the bar, and they both revolve around one situation. There's 2 separate incidents, 2 stories, but it all revolves around one person, let's say, or one situation. Maybe it's a better way to put it. So in order to get there, I have to give you background. We had the bar maybe 6 months, maybe a little longer. I don't even remember now how long, but we were in the basement, the old little bar room, we call it, before we moved on into And it was in the basement. And we were our own doormen. The three of us would take turns. Jeff usually bartended, but Shelby and I would alternate because we weren't making any money yet. We didn't have any money, so we didn't want to pay people to do stuff that we could do. We did everything ourselves. So anyway, the law at the time in Oklahoma was really weird. I had never heard of this coming from the East. But liquor by the drink, meaning to go into a bar and buy a drink, was against the law. You could go and get a 3-2 license, and you could sell 3-2 beer, which is basically watered down beer. But that was the only liquor you could sell, or not liquor, that's the only beverages you could sell. Liquor beverage or alcohol beverage legally in the state. I never knew that until I started working in the bar, because every bar I ever went to, you just went up and ordered a drink like every other bar you ever been to in your whole life. So we found out the way that you get around it is you're basically a private club. And everybody, check this out, everybody who comes into the establishment has to fill out an application to join the club. They give you an ID and blah, 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 and you sign an application, and then we give them a little card saying they're a member of the Bowery Club. And what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to bring their own bottles and of whatever, vodka, whatever they drank, and we would put their name on it, and they would drink out of their own bottle. We were supposed to be able to charge them for the mix, whether it was soda, juice, whatever. And they could drink 3-2 beer. That's not how it ran, but that's how it was supposed to run. That was the law. So the ABC, Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, if they wanted to give you a hard time, could show up and harass you about that stuff, because that was the law. Well, sure enough, we start to grow in reputation. We're getting articles in the paper, and all of a sudden we're on some people's radar. And the truth is, we were kind of a fringe joint because we did things that were different. I mean, we had live rock and roll, but it was kind of a punk club at times. It had a pretty gay, strong gay community that would come in for the 80s dance stuff. It's a pretty unique situation, as I was saying.
Dude, if
because
you weren't wet before, you're wet
they
now.
didn't have what they call liquor by the drink.
Shoot, man, it's
In Oklahoma, it was against the law to go into a bar or restaurant and buy an alcoholic beverage in the whole state, not by county. I mean, there's dry counties around the country. This was the whole state in the 80s. And the only thing they had was what they call 3-2 beer bars, where, you were 18, you could go in and drink 3-2 beer, which is like watered down beer. I've never seen it anywhere else. A lot of water on this video. And so that was a completely different thing that I had ever experienced. Oh, I gotta stop for a second. This was something I always wanted to do. I've seen this piece of trail on other people's videos. I think Mike and Dennis might have even done this at night on one of their videos. But this is really a steep drop into an absolute, I guess you'd call it a brook, man. That water is running and it is deep. And we're gonna head up underneath the highway bridges. See them? Or I guess that's a highway. It can't be a highway bridge. It's too low. Some sort of bridges. And the water is just running down through here. And it is like 3 feet deep, maybe more. And it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy to go through here. It's like, watch Johnny's bike just like sliding all around. It's slick. It's just crazy nasty in here. And, but I would always want to do it. Now, luckily, I'd seen other videos where if you don't come out of here and take a quick right, which we're going to do, you're going to look in front of us. See that pond right there? If you go straight there, which a lot of people have done, I've seen, you drop into like 6 feet of water and it's over. So luckily, these guys had been through there, and I'd actually seen it on video, so I knew we're taking a hard right as soon as we get through it. Look at all this water we're going through. That was pretty interesting. I always wanted to do that. I had a chance to go through there. That's one of the sections of the 50 mile. That was new for me. But anyway, back to the Oklahoma situation. So, the way everybody got around it, and I didn't even realize this is how they were doing it, because I would go to clubs and stuff before I bought the bar. I even worked at one. Was they called them private clubs, and And the way it's set up is you would form a private club corporation. Ours was called the Bowery Club. And everybody had to join the club that came in. They filled out an application and you gave them a card. And they were supposed to bring their own bottle in to drink out of, and you were charging them for the mixes, the juices and the soda or the ice or whatever. And that's the way it was supposed to work. That's the way the law worked. It didn't work that way. Everybody just came in and filled out the application, and you had all the rules and set up just like a regular bar. But it comes down to, because the ABC, Alcohol Beverage Control Board, would come in if they wanted to harass you. And so we had, every bottle had a name on it, but of course we had names like Donald Duck and Daffy and Mick Jagger and whoever. We would just stick names on these bottles. Came like part of a big joke. Guys would come in and go, hey, I want to drink out of Mick Jagger's bottle or Daffy Duck's bottle or whatever. We would all laugh. It's kind of funny. But that's important to the story, because what happens is we start getting a reputation for being a pretty well-known place, and we also had a reputation as being a kind of on the fringe place, because it was a rock club, and at that time we did punk and reggae and new wave, and we did a lot of different stuff which attracted a pretty diverse crowd. I mean, at any night you would have hardcore punk looking dudes with the spike haircuts to a big gay community, because they loved to dress up in that 80s fashion with all the craziness that went on in the 80s. And then, just some hardcore punks, and it just was a real mixed bag. And this is conservative Oklahoma City in the 80s, early 80s. And, they were like, this place is not a place that we are going to embrace. So they started sending in undercover ABC people. I think I take a header here. I think this one hurts, actually. It's real bang. Yep, that one hurt, believe it or not. Doesn't look like much on video. But anyway, so they came in and they carded everybody in the club, and you had to have the application to match the ID. And we did pretty good. I think out of the 100 people that were in there, let's say, they found, I think, 2 people that had fake IDs. The one kid said he didn't show us an ID, but everybody showed us an ID. We were good about that. I'm like, look, he showed us an ID. I don't know what his ID, where it is now, but because he was trying to say he didn't show an ID. And then finally I started, we started like, he showed it, make him show it to you, and he showed his fake ID. And but the other kid had a fake ID that he showed us as well, and they arrested my DJ Ross, who was our manager as well of record. And it's sort of like getting arrested for like a DUI. I mean, they don't throw you in jail, but you got to go down and they book you in. Blah blah blah. You got to go to court and pay a fine. So we were like, listen, we need to get a real doorman that's going to, monitor this stuff better than we are, because, we were doing a lot of the stuff, so we weren't as diligent as we needed to be. So we checked around, and we were doing concerts with a big promoter that named Intervisions at the time. Howie was the guy's name that we were doing shows with. When we did big shows like B.B. King and Dave Mason. No, we did him at the club. Crosby Stills and Nash. Bigger shows we were doing. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Dwayne Hall and people like that. We would do in conjunction with him, so we knew him real well. And he also would help us book shows when we needed it. That's who Doug Witt from the last video went to work for. This is the one I won't cross. Look at how deep that is. I'm like, should I try it? No, come help me, because you fall into that. It's back to the story. So when we did the big shows, we used a security company, and it was pretty much Johnny must be down. Pretty much made up of kind of like biker guys, if you will. Back in the day, everybody used kind of rough looking guys to do security. And there was a guy that I had met at a couple of shows that we did with them. His name was Skip. He just seemed like a really nice guy, easygoing, but good-sized guy, probably 6'2", maybe, 200 pounds, kind of a lean guy, not a big bulky guy, but like just a muscular, lean guy, super tight black t-shirt type guy, arms completely tattooed up. And don't forget, back then, no one rocked those kind of tattoos. I mean, he had full sleeves, that real black smudge ink type of tattoos. And he just looked like a rough cat, man. Black hair, pretty good sized beard. You just knew, hey, man, that's not a guy you want to tangle with. So he was great because, he kind of instilled a little bit of fear in people not to be messing, trying to sneak in or pull any shenanigans, because now we had, legit door guy. And I really liked, everybody did, but I really did. I got along great with Skip. I thought he was a great guy, easygoing. But I didn't know much of his history other than, I knew him a little bit from the concert promotions. And he seemed like the right guy, to do this. He wasn't like going to be he wasn't a big drinker, big partier where you had to worry I'm getting crazy or anything. He just was an easygoing guy, but intimidating. So everything's great. He's probably worked for us maybe a month. And then, I don't know if it was a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday night. I'm standing there at the front door, and I'm talking to him, actually. And don't you know, the kid who came in with the fake ID tries to sneak in again. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I've got a better ID or something. I can't remember what he said. Something really like stupid. And I'm like, no way, man. You got us arrested. You got us fined. They want to shut us down because of people like you. So I turn to Skip and I go, Skip, do me a favor. Get him out of here. Or throw him out of here. Or whatever I said. Something like that. And I turned and he went around and kind of just grabbed him. We're in the bottom of the basement now. So you have to go up the stairs to get out. Now at the top of the stairs was the doorway into the alley. And the main doorway was down a hallway. It was an office building. So he grabs him by the scruff of the neck, if you will, his shirt and his pants by his bottom, and starts charging him up the stairs. I don't think anything of it. I'm like, goodbye. Maybe this will keep him out of my hair. This guy's going to get me in trouble. And so I walk back over, or maybe I stayed at the door. I don't remember. Skip walks back down, sits down, and I walk away. And about maybe 30 seconds later, one of the patrons comes down that was coming in and said, hey, he goes, do you know what just happened? And I'm like, no, I have no idea. What are you talking about? He goes, your doorman just threw some kid face first through the glass plate door at the top of the stairs. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, he ran him head first right through the plate glass door. So I'm like, oh man. So I run upstairs, and sure enough, the kid is laying outside on the sidewalk with a bunch of people around him. They'd already called an ambulance. It was on its way. There was a ambulance care thing right across the street. And they came, and this kid's face was cut up, bad. And they cart him off. And I walk downstairs after it's over, and Skip's sitting there, calm as can be. And I go, hey, why in the world would you do that? Why would you throw the kid through the glass window? And then he gave me a look that chilled me, and he said, you told me throw him out. I threw him out. I said, Skip. I said, it's a term, it's just a term. I didn't mean literally throw him out of the building. I meant throw him out, like don't come back. He started to get really pissed off. You could see almost rage in his eyes. And he started to come towards me a little. He goes, you told me what to do. I did it. And I'm like, oh man, what is the story with this guy? This is not the guy I have known for a month. This is a different human being. So I just kind of look at him. I'm like, listen, man, when I tell you something, you don't need to be there's where Mike fell down. That might be the time. You don't need to be violent with people cool if they're not being violent with you. All I wanted you to do was make the kid go, you know, scare him like get out of here kind of stuff. You know, not smash his head through a plate glass door. He was still pissed at me. I'm telling you, man, he was pissed. I was like, I backed up. I was like, I don't know what's going to go on, but it's kind of scary. And sure enough, we got sued by that kid, and you know, we had dram shop insurance, they call it, which is like bar insurance that paid the claim. But I mean, you know, it was a big problem. You know, depositions, blah blah blah, the whole thing. And plus, I felt pretty bad. I mean, I didn't want to see the kid's face get chopped up. I just wanted the kid to stay out of there, so, you know, to cut out being an idiot. A side note, Shelby, my partner, said he met that kid like 10 years later in Dallas. He ended up becoming a Marine, and he was a sharpshooter for the Marines, a sniper. That's what he ended up doing with his life, the kid that got thrown through the glass. I was like, oh man, you just never know, right? You just never know. So that ends that part of the story, and it gives me an inkling that, hey, I should try to find out what the story is with Skip. What's his history? What's going on here? Because that was something I'd never seen. Now, I'd been to his house. I'd met his wife. He had a little son. I mean, you know, I thought I knew this guy. So I started asking around some of the other security guys. They go, you don't know anything about him? I said, nothing other than, you know, he works with you guys. You know, I needed a doorman. They go, that's a really bad guy, you know. And I'm like, I'm bad, I don't mean like just a badass, I think is what they mean. I go, what do you mean? You go, Skip got out of Chino like a year and a half ago in California for murder. I'm like, what? Because he looked like he might have been 30, maybe, at the most. I don't know. He wasn't an old guy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, man, he was in one of the most vicious white prison gangs in the California prison system. They're like, he's a bad dude, man. He's a rough kid, rough man, or whatever. And I'm like, well, are you serious? They go, yeah, you don't look at his tattoos? I go, I don't know, they're just big, you know, black smudges. They're really hard to see. They go, yeah, they're all prison tats, but look at them. There's SWAT stickers and, you know, that whole prison, you know, white race stuff, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. But I didn't know how to handle it because, to be honest with you, now I'm a little bit intimidated. Don't forget, I'm 25. I'm not experienced in the world, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But I think maybe I got it under control because at least when I talked to him the next day, I tried to explain to him, hey, you know, we don't need to escalate things like that, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, fine, you know, whatever. But, you know, he did make a point. Listen, if you tell me to do something, you better mean that you want me to do it. And I said, I'll be more careful what I ask you to do. I'll explain myself better. And I thought we had somewhat of an understanding. Not the great, I didn't feel great about it, but I liked him. He was my, you know, I call him my friend. He was a good guy. I wanted it to work. So that brings us to maybe 3 months later. And we were doing, of course, another reggae band. This one was from Austin, Texas. And the name of this band is the Killer Bees. And they were great. They were a really good reggae band. And the guy who ran it actually was a white guy with dreads who was the keyboard player. He was from Austin. The rest of the band was all Jamaicans from the island, from Jamaica. You know, like hardcore Jamaicans. And, you know, we got along. I mean, they'd probably played the club 2 or 3 times maybe in the first year. Everything had been great. Never had any issues with them. You know, typical, you know, yeah, man. You know, what's up, man, guys, you know. Nothing negative that I could say about them, or else I wouldn't have kept booking them. I really liked them. They played great. They were really, really good musicians. Look at all this water. I forgot how bloody crazy this spring was. But we booked the show, and once again, it was a weekend night. I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. It's a good crowd. They did great. People loved them. And so they always did good numbers. But back to my thing about, another crash. bang, I knew that was going to crash. I remember this. That one wasn't quite as hard, but still. Something about approaching water, I guess, with me that brings on the jitters. So anyway, everything was great. You know, like I said, no problems with them. I found them to be decent guys. Didn't have any issues. So they did the show. I think I was in the office, maybe paying the main guy. I don't remember what was going on, but I wasn't in the actual bar when I hear some sort of commotion, and I'm like, what the heck? You know, a lot of times there's just goofiness that goes on at the end of the night, as you can imagine, in a bar, especially a rock and roll bar. So I kind of, you know, didn't think much of it, and then I hear it really starting to escalate, and I hear, you know, screaming or yelling back and forth, and I can tell it's the Jamaican guys. You can't miss that accent. And I come out from the office and walk out, and I see Skip faced off against, it's got to be 5 or 6 Jamaican guys, and they weren't small. It wasn't like, you know, 5 midgets. This was, you know, legit guys. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, you know, all the racial crap between them starts flying. This SOB did that, said this, and this, that. And I know, okay, now I know who Skip is and what he's capable of, and I'm like, listen, man, back up. Do not antagonize him. And I think they're feeling pretty confident. It's 5-on-1. And I'm like, listen to me. You need to back up. This dude will kill you. And they're like, yeah, man, we're not afraid of no blood clots. It's crazy. And all of a sudden, I see Skip turn in the bar. You know how you have those doors that flip up so you can go underneath, you know, open the bar so you can get back to it or stock it? It's like a little doorway. He rips the door top off of the bar and starts swinging it. I'm like, oh no, here it goes. And I'm like screaming at the Jamaicans because, to be honest with you, I wasn't worried about Skip. I was like, are you kidding me? This guy's like hardcore prison. He ain't afraid of fighting, you know, whatever you put in front of him. And I'm like, listen, man. And I'm like screaming at him, he will kill you. Now here's the problem. You can't get out of the bar without crossing over to where Skip is. Like, I'm trying to stay between the two of them, or whatever the groups. And it's not like go that way and go away. So now it's like on, right? It's like no one's going to back down. And I'm like, listen, you know, I'm trying to calm it down. I'm like, listen, you need to just say a word. Skip, do me a favor. You know, if you start fighting with these guys, they're going to close my club down. You're not going to have a job, and I'm not going to have a club. Do me a favor and just let them leave. He's kind of just staring at him, man. Like, I'm not even talking to him. He's not hearing what I'm saying. It feels like. I'm like, listen to me. Do me a favor. Let them just pass. They're going to just leave. Let them leave. He just keeps staring at him, and I'm like, come on, man, just let them leave. And finally, he just looks at me and goes, they gotta leave now. And I'm like, dude, get out. And they just kind of scooted by him. They didn't look at him. They didn't give him any smart mouth on the way by. I think they knew, even with 5 of them, that this cat was not to be trifled with. So they scoot out and they get away. They go out. I turn to Skip and I'm like, Skip, listen, man. I said, we cannot. And he was like, I don't take that from any, you know, all the racial crap, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look in his right hand, and he has on his right hand a set of brass knuckles with the blade that hooks down. So he had brass knuckles with a blade on the end, with a kind of a hooked blade. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, what was gonna go? He goes, I was killing him. I go, Skip, you gonna go to jail again, man. You're gonna. He was like, I don't care. He goes, no one talks to me like that. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, this is insanity. This dude is a ticking time bomb. As great a guy as he could be, obviously his genetic code or the way he was raised or whatever his upbringing or prison life was, he was now wired to not take any lip off of anybody. That whole disrespect thing to the max, and was willing to back it up at all costs, man. If it meant someone had to die, then apparently somebody had to die. Oh, look at this hill clip. This was really hard. I'm surprised I made it up this size of people. But anyway, I finally got it diffused, got them out of there, calmed him down enough that I was like, look, man, hang around here for a little bit with me, and then, do me a favor, just go ahead and go home. And so it diffused, got them home, or got him out of there, and sat down with Shelby and Jeff and said, listen, I've got to tell Skip he's got to go. I said, this is crazy. Something really bad's going to go down here. I said, this cat is not fooling around, and he doesn't take it. He's not taking any lip off of anybody, even if it's not meant to be, lip. Now, I do believe the Jamaican were giving him a hard time. And I don't know what started it. To this day, I don't remember, and I don't think I ever found out. But once once it went racial or aggressive, it was on for this guy. And for them, too, I guess. They weren't, like, peaceful, about it either. They were thinking they were going to give this guy the beating of his life, and that they would have got a really bad surprise. They might have gave him a beating, but they were going to lose some blood for sure.
Just gotta go.
So now I have the dilemma. How do you tell this guy he's done? Because I am now literally afraid of him. I'm afraid of this guy. So I'm like, okay. So I call him. Maybe the next day, because I didn't want him to come to work the next day. And I said, listen, I got to come see you. And he said, okay, come on over. So I went over his house, and I'm like shaking in my boots. And I'm not joking, because I don't know what his reaction's going to be. At some level, I assume he must know something's going to happen, but I said, really, Mike? I don't know if he was thinking, I'm just going to do like I did last time. You can't act like that or whatever, but I had to say, you're fired. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but at the time, for me, it was going to be a really scary thing. So I went in and I just sat down and I said, listen, man, I like you. And I do. To this day, I like that guy. I haven't talked to him in 30 years, whatever it's been. But, if I saw him, I would like to see him. I would like to talk to him. I liked him. He was a nice guy. At some level, he just had a side to him that I didn't know how to deal with, had never experienced, didn't know what it was about. So for me, it was, I couldn't deal with it. It was overwhelming. And I just said, listen, Skip, I know I don't want to tell you this. It doesn't make me happy. But I said, I don't know how to deal with the situation, and I can't afford to lose my club. And so I just got to ask you, to just move on. And as it turns out, he goes, that's cool. Because I was planning on moving to North Carolina next week anyway. So it all worked out pretty good, where he wasn't too upset to where he was going to make threats or cause problems. And I'm not saying he would have. That was where my mind was at. He was really pretty cool about it. We kind of shook hands and had a beer and left on good terms. And like I said, I wish that guy well. I hope he got that straightened out.